So back in late 2023, you probably saw this story just blow up on social media. It was being called the wedding of the century, this absolute fairy tale in Paris that cost something like $59 million. But what most people didn't know was that behind all the glitz and glamour, there was a really dark secret. The groom was actually facing felony charges and a possible life sentence.
I mean, how does a wedding become an internet sensation pretty much overnight? Well, a price tag like this definitely helps. $59 million. That staggering number is what launched this whole thing into the viral stratosphere.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this all down. We'll start with the fairy tale wedding itself, then dive into the groom's serious felony charges, explain the alleged crime, talk about what life in prison actually means in Texas, and finally, look at what happens next.
Okay, first things first, let's talk about the Parisian fairy tale. Because before any of the legal drama surfaced, this was just a story of unbelievable, almost hard-to-imagine luxury.
Yeah, this wasn't just, a one-day thing. This was a 5-day extravaganza in Paris. Guests were flown in on private jets. They had a private lunch at the Chanel Haute Couture suite, an overnight stay at the actual Palace of Versailles, a rehearsal dinner at the Paris Opera House, and to top it all off, just a private concert for Maroon 5 at the reception. No big deal.
So who's at the center of all this? The bride is Madelaine Brockway, an entrepreneur and the daughter of the CEO of a massive group of Mercedes-Benz dealerships. The groom, Jacob LaGrone, is from Nashville, and he's worked as a talent coordinator for the Country Music Association and as a production assistant for the singer Jason Aldean.
And right here is where the fairy tale takes a very sharp, very serious turn. Because while the entire world was watching these incredible wedding videos, a much darker story was quietly unfolding in a Texas courtroom.
The timeline here is just shocking when you lay it all out. The alleged crime? That happened back in March 2023, a full 8 months before the wedding. Then on November 18th, the massive Parisian celebration kicks off. And then, just 12 days, less than 2 weeks after saying I do, Jacob LaGrone was back in a courtroom in Fort Worth for a hearing.
So what is he actually accused of doing? Well, the charges are incredibly severe, and they all stem from that one incident back in March of 2023.
So the indictment basically lays it all out. On March 14th, in Tarrant County, Texas, police from 2 different departments were responding to some disturbance calls, and when they got there, they were allegedly fired upon. That single incident led to LaGrone being indicted on 3 counts of aggravated assault on a public servant.
And the actual language from the indictment is pretty chilling. It alleges he did intentionally and knowingly threaten imminent bodily injury to the officers and did use or exhibit a deadly weapon, namely a firearm. Let's be really clear here. This is an incredibly serious accusation.
So this brings us to the potential consequences, and they are, incredibly high. That charge, aggravated assault on a public servant, is one of the most serious felonies you can face in the state of Texas.
And here's exactly why the stakes are so high. Under the Texas Penal Code, this is a first-degree felony. A conviction is punishable by a huge range, from 5 years all the way up to 99 years or even life in prison. Okay, so let's just recap the legal situation. The charge is aggravated assault on a public servant. It's a first-degree felony. The punishment range is 5 years to life. Now, facing that possibility, the Tarrant County District Attorney's Office offered him a plea deal. The offer on the table? 25 years in prison. His response? He turned it down. He rejected the deal. And that decision means this is all going to a jury trial, where the stakes just could not be any higher.
So where does all of this leave the story? Well, the wedding is over, that plea deal is off the table, and now the legal process just keeps moving forward. After all the charges went public, the couple pretty much vanished from the spotlight. Madeleine's TikTok was deleted, and her Instagram was switched to private. Life moved on, though. In January 2025, they announced they were expecting a child, and their daughter, Roan Day, was born that June.
And so, all eyes turned right back to the courtroom. According to the court records, the trial was officially scheduled to get underway on January 8, 2026.
And so we're left with this just stark contrast. One of the most over-the-top weddings anyone has ever seen, followed by one of the most serious criminal trials possible. The fairy tale is over, the trial is set. And soon, a jury will decide the fate of the groom from the wedding of the century.